Okay, I feel like I've got so many things to talk about. I don't even think I can keep up. Hopefully I can cover everything that's on my mind. One of the things while I was driving, the drive again was so weird. And I didn't even feel at all nervous or anything. I felt like I could see everything. It was weird. And I don't know, it was weird. It was just like, I don't know. There is something about us, our perception changes reality or something. The only time I even saw like a landmark thing, you're like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that, was when I was looking for one, you know? And it was like everything is always changing. I don't know. I keep thinking that the whole thing with travel is just because we think we have to. You know, that we perceive it, so we make it happen in whichever way. But I swear to God, like I said, I think everything's just backdrops. So, anyways, when I was driving, it was weird with that. It was just so many weird things about the drive. But I got pulled over. And it was so crazy too, because while I was driving, you know, I kept seeing people getting pulled over and getting pulled over and getting pulled over. And you're just like, oh my God. Look at how the system works. Like, they know people are stressed out and beat down. Like, nukes are on the table and stuff. And then they're, oh, get out there. As many tickets written as possible. We want everybody ticketed and stressed out. Oh, there's not enough stress in the world. Get more. It's like, motherfuckers. You know, it's just the same as like, you know, that they would tell a cop who went to go pick up a kid who was saying, this is not my parents. Oh, well, we'll have the CPS. They'll be right there. They'll take care of it. You get over there to that. There's a MAGA call. Go get on that MAGA call. That's dangerous shit. You know, I was like, oh my God. Oh, but people have to fucking turn it on. Turn it on. But so this was weird. So it was right before I was going to have to exit to go to a different freeway. And so, I sped up to get around because, you know, it was like, oh, a mile ahead. I was like, oh my God, I better hurry. So speed up and go around. And right as I went around and I was like 85, I looked at my thing, it was 85, and there's a cop right around the turn. Motherfucker. And so I was like, oh, there's no fucking way. You can't even slam your brakes on at that point to get it down. And so I, you know, just took my foot off the thing and just gradually went and got in the lane to make it quite clear I was passing, but there was no leniency. So then, and this is the thing that I stress so much about, is getting pulled over with Stella in the car. And every time I've played it out in my head, and I thought, I'm getting out of the car. I'm not even fucking dealing with it. Besides, like, while I'm driving, I'll smoke a couple of hits of a joint. I think that's why the guy walked over and wanted to smell in my car. He's like, get in, open the window. And gets his face up there or something. I think they're just looking for people who are smoking weed in their car because it's legal and they know everybody fucking does it. And, but all I could smell was dog breath. So, it's not like I'm smoking out or something, you know. It's like your back you take a couple hits and then just keep driving, you know. I think it probably takes more relaxation on the roads, and it does make you drive slower. I always drive slow. I used to be like a real speed freak, and now I drive much slower because, I don't know, to me, you just get so much more, the world becomes so much bigger when you like let go of some of the stuff, like why they call it high. I swear it's like because you just kind of raise your vibration a little bit out of the hellness. So anyways, when I got pulled over, I looked at my thing, I got my stuff out, and I just got out of the car. And I didn't even have my insurance card. I had another thing I thought was the insurance card, so I just grabbed the stuff and got out. And it was all on the freeway. And it's not the interstate, but it's a freeway. But it's 2 lanes, and it's, you know, people going 75, 80 miles an hour. And so when I got out, but I had gotten off on the exit, kind of like where it already starts getting wide. So there was already, it was like an entrance and an exit. So there was a big space. I wasn't being dangerous. I even crossed, even after he put his lights on, I crossed over and crossed across another one to get over to out of the freeway. And so when I got out, and they had these like trooper hats on, they were decked out. And so I went and got out of the car and started walking around, and they're, get in your car, get in your car. And I was like, no, my dog's in my car. And they're like, it's okay. And I was like, yeah, I just kept walking towards them. And so we met at the front of the car, and which this guy was way too handsome. I think they're making some sort of like RoboCops, like to calm you, like these real handsome men walk up to calm you down. Oh, and he smelled so good. Oh my God. I even told him at the end of it, I was like, and you smell really good. But super, super handsome. And he's probably, you know, if he is a real person, not some sort of new android cop that they're building, that, you know, they look real sweet, and then all of a sudden they pull up their fingers and start shooting at these lasers at you or something. But so he could be, you know, just this sweet guy who just wants to do good in the world, and he's going to find out you entered the most corrupt system that possible. The judicial and the cops are here to protect gangsters and take down the rest of us, and especially if we notice. Like, they're like, fuck you guys. So, anyways, so I went out there and I was talking, and then they saw the dog. I said, I can get back in the car, but I won't be able to hear you. You won't be able to hear anything over her barking. And so they said, well, give me your papers or whatever and get back in your car. And then he walks over there, you know, and like he wants to sniff in there. And then he sees her. She comes straight up and is barking with that big drooly face and all sorts of jowls. And she's scary to most people. Like UPI, the male guy, I swear some of those guys will throw the box. She's being freaking dramatic as can be. This has been all night. She's back to, I don't want to travel. So, keep wheezing. It's all that weed. So anyways, I got back in the car, and then I'm sitting there, and I hadn't eaten. Well, I had eaten some cinnamon toast or something in the morning, but I've been driving and stuff, and I was feeling really shaky. I was thinking, okay, well, when I'm going to be there soon, and I'll eat something. And so I was feeling really shaky, and I got a kombucha out, and I was taking a drink, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're trying to size me up right now. And they probably already think I'm jittery, because I'm always just kind of like that, you know. It's like, go to the videos, you'll see it. This is just who I am. And then so I feel like they're sizing me up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna come out, and they're going to start saying they want to test me or something. I feel like my blood sugar is dropping or something, because the only thing I'd eaten in the car was like York mints. I love those things. And so I was feeling like wobbly and shaky and stuff. I was like, great. They're going to say, oh, we're going to test you. And I'm sitting there like, oh, this is bullshit. It's taking them so long. How long can this take? They are totally trying to just stress me out. And that most people, there was a fucking cop was driving, and he kept just driving and just flashing his lights. And I was like, they are doing this just to cause stress. I swear to God. Anybody who has driven and seen the lights flash in their car knows you get a fucking sudden panic attack. It's like, oh my God, what is the point of this? Just driving, and I was behind him for a while. He just kept doing it. And I was like, this is so strange. And besides how many cops I was seeing pull people over. But anyways, when he came back, I got back out of the car, and I met him back out front. And when he got to the front of the car, though, this time he's trying to be like, okay, wait. Okay, come now. He's like, I get what you're saying. I'm on your side. So I get up there, and he starts saying, well, you were going 84. And I said, yeah, I was just picking up to speed and pull over. Yeah, it's fine. I got caught, whatever. And he was like, well, I wrote it for 75 and a 70. And here, you just go on here and mark it. Just really drive careful. And so what kind of dog? Like, he wants to just talk about Stella and Sandlot and stuff. And, oh, my gosh, she's so impressive and stuff. She is big. I mean, you just don't realize how big until you're like next to her. It's kind of strange. Like, even in my daughter's, what she said, this place was so horrible. I was like, you've lived in places worse than this as a child, I guarantee you. But everywhere there's always, right now they're packing up to move again. So everything is down and boxed and stuff. And, she's always having to reverse it. I was like, that's probably not good on her hips either. Because she's always having to reverse all over my house, because my house is so tiny. She's always, I feel bad for her. She's just such a big sweetie. And then, but anyways, he just wanted to talk about her, but they gave me a lesser ticket. And then I got here and stuff. And then there was a whole thing I wanted to talk about that, because, you know, really when you go and do things, don't get in the habit of doing it for someone else with an expectation or anything. Like, I really had to go into this situation to come and think, you know, it can be a total rejection. I even told him when I was invited, I said, I can be totally rejected in this. And he's like, well, it'll mean a lot. And I know, well, I mean, she's my child. I know. No matter how many walls, no matter how much anger, no matter how much bitterness or whatever she can accumulate inside of herself and hold her whole life against me. Oh, if only my mom was better, if she would have been better, you know, and then I would have been perfect. If my mom was better, I would have been perfect. It's like, that's just not how it works. You get handed a bunch of obstacles, and then it's up to you what you're going to do with them. It's you healing yourself. And so you blame me and sit back and just wasting time. But you know, when I went and stuff, and because I went to the thing last night, which it wasn't live bands. It was so fucking cool. It was so much cooler because I had never seen one of these before in person. I'd seen them on TV, and I didn't even know they were still like a thing, like contests. But it was battle of the breakdancing battle. It was so fucking cool. Oh my God. It was so cool. I couldn't believe it. And it was all these different ones. There was ones from Oregon and ones from Washington State. But I was thinking, I bet you it would really be fantastic to see like California, New York, Chicago, Detroit, like some of those ones all do a battle, because I bet each place has kind of its own style. But it's really cool because the guys get into this whole attitude, and they start going with the music, and then it's really cool. It's like quite a show. And then when they finish, they just like get up and they're all like clapping and hugging each other. It's the cutest thing. And nobody drinking, nobody doing drugs, everybody. I mean, it's hardcore exercise. Like, they had to take breaks and stuff. So it was just super cool. I was so excited that I got to experience that. And then the outside, it was a rec center. The outside of it was all artists all day doing these giant mural graffitis and stuff. It was so fucking cool. I'm going to do a video when I get there today for the shower. I'll do a video. But anyways, I was just thinking, you know, like if somebody was still in a wounded place, which most of us are, you know, we all have wounds. It's no shame. They wanted to shame us for everything, but we have wounds that can really be healed. And, but when you go into a situation like that, you know, don't go into it like thinking, well, you know, I drove 4 miles and she'll know I loved her. You know, you can think that stuff. But don't hang your coat on it or whatever. You know, just let things play out and let the universe. It's kind of like just use you as a tool, is to teach others. And sometimes we get so caught up in how it works. But really, there is so much to just relaxing into it and just be like, hey, you decide at every moment of every day who you are. And you will hold yourself responsible for those choices. It's not a God up in heaven. It's you yourself will hold yourself when you expand your perspective and you become more enlightened to the truth. And you stop living this life in this dysfunctional way of trying to be something to please others. So anyways, you know, it's more important to be truthful and authentic. And, which this is so crazy because I came last night, you know, I was looking for something to watch after the contest and stuff, because I stayed there for like 3 or 3.5 hours. But then I was like, oh my gosh, Stella's stressed out because my daughter had just moved into this place. So she's never been here. They're out of town. So she can smell them and she knows it's their house, but still she's super nervous. Like, what are we doing here? Are you gonna leave me? What's happening? And I don't know. It's different to be in a community like this, you know, like my daughter said, like the dogs just run wild and just come in your yard and stuff. And so there's a lot more dog drama going on outside. So I thought, you know, she'll kind of enjoy that, like with the dog drama, you know, she's been so lonely. I know that's part of why she just cries and cries and cries at me. She's just lonely. And I was like, man, but I don't know. I just know I'm kind of like in this transition right now. Like I'm not going to still be where I'm at. And it's kind of like I've got to get to the next phase to see my next steps. You know what I mean? So it is, a lot of times it feels like I'm in a stagnation, but I know everything's about to start moving. And it is kind of like, that, like, when I say like a tsunami and it's coming, but it has to break through the wall and there's like the holes in like a dam or something. And so different things, all of these energies and stuff, that's like the breakthrough of different information, is this breaking through. And so that energy is going, but it's kind of like hitting a wall at the same time until it all breaks. But it's hitting with so much pressure as the tsunami is crashing over that it is breaking the dam and everything is going to be released at once. And that is when it's going to be this big turn. And that is what the thing is, we don't know when it's coming. That's the thing. I mean, we all have these other attacks that we need to be on guard of course. But we also, there's the big thing that is coming that is unstoppable. It's like, how would you stop the tsunami? Even the dam can't stop it. That is breaking apart. So everything is in movement and it's all going that way. So anyways, for me personally, I have that whole thing of like, I know there's about to be big changes. So I don't want to go get a puppy right now, because I mean, it'd be perfect to get her a puppy if I had a place, you know, that was more, I don't know, like I don't want to be out somewhere, you know, like with a partner, you know, like, but out kind of, and live kind of out away from people. I think most people want to live out away from people, want their own space, you know, their own lives, and then have places that people can come together to socialize. You know, I would love to have like a guest house and a little entertainment place, you know, where family and friends would come and barbecue and stuff and hang out. But I really want like a place that is, you know, like I picture like a big barn. I see these cool I know there's some cool ass barns on the East Coast, but over here on the West Coast, there is some fucking cool ass barns. And some of them even have that big Dutch star. And I guess Linden is a big Dutch town. And it's right next to me. So there is a lot of Dutch people over there too, a lot of Canadians. And I don't know, I think it's cool when if we pushed more for these different cultures. They just want to whitewash everything and everyone and remove the culture, remove the immigration, remove everything out of everybody, and just make, you know, the slave people, the ones that are willing to just be enslaved. That's all they want. And it's like they want some a little bit of dark, but they want mostly white, because they want the melanin out of, except for the consumption. They want the melanin out because it gives you that connection more to your soul. And there's just so many people that are cut off from their soul, and that's why it's been done on purpose. So anyways, this what was I talking about? I go on too many things. Because one of the things I want to talk about was this show that I started watching. But I feel like I didn't finish what I was saying a second ago. Oh, I have to go off on too many. I'm telling you, I've got so many things going in my head right now. But so when I came back last night and I started this movie, and the other day, you know, I had started the Dahmer one, and I guess there's a lot of talk going on about it. But the thing that bothers me, and if you go on Netflix, just on their main page, you just see sex, 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 sex. And that they keep doing this sex mixing with violence. And, you know, that creates kind of like in people, you know, to watch this stuff all the time, it makes them kind of, not oblivious, but kind of like oblivious to it. Like you just don't notice it anymore. And so crime builds, and the way people treat each other gets worse and worse and worse because you just kind of become immune to it. And because you see it all the time. And, even with sex and porn and stuff like that, you always need to get more and more. Everything loses its excitement, and there's nothing that turns you on. That's one of the problems with some of these people who get so rich and just keep feeding that beast, and it becomes insatiable. And that's why, that gets them off to go out and hunt children or people or something. Like, they've got to find the most extreme thing to get them off, because nothing does, because they've become so immune. And so that's what they systematically do in their programming, is build immunity to perversion and violence and stuff, so we accept it just as a part of our life. And so it is extreme right now if you go in and watch. Like, I haven't even been going on, I've mostly just been on YouTube all the time, and I just switch back and forth like those binaural tunes or whatever, and then a tear. It depends. I basically stay in that top thing, whatever pops up. I kind of like, they'll give me like a little because sometimes I'll be talking to them, asking questions, and then one of those will pop up, and I'll watch it and it will answer my questions. And so kind of like that. Or if I'm feeling stressed, then they'll pop up on those binaural things, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna relax. And if it's that kind of stuff, or a movie, like I'll be thinking like about something that I would like to watch or something, so then this movie will pop up that'll be like meet that need. It's but sometimes I'm just out of sync, and they'll just keep popping up those binaural beats, but it's like, I want more. I need something. And so and that'll be like where I'll just be like going through a really awkward place. There's no plugs in here, but that is when I'll be like going through millions of different shows. So I haven't been going on all the different things. I went on Prime the other day and was watching that Rings of Fire or something for a bit, which I thought there was some cool stuff. But I don't like all the warring and the fighting and all of that stuff. So it always is kind of less like, it's just intense. That's when I quit watching Vikings. I mean, it was so intense in the beginning, but then it just seemed to just even get more violent. And it was fucking violent from the beginning. And the only thing was like, okay, you just got to witness this. This happened. Like, just, this is real. You can't turn away from some things. And that is one of the things that, so I turned this, right when I turned on Netflix, the first show, how it's like a commercial or something starts going. And it was this Maryland show called Blonde. And so I skipped past it and I went down and was looking for something. I don't remember what I was looking for. Probably a thriller, crime thriller. That's always what I'm looking for. So I had skipped past it, but then it popped back up and I looked through. And so I was like, well, I always liked Marilyn. And when I was younger, I really liked her a lot because I always watched old movies, and probably because my mom was a teenager. So I was kind of grew up in her era a little bit. Like she would put on her 45s, like that kind of music of my boyfriend's back and he's, that kind of stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff, like I would watch the Beach Blanket Bingo and all that. So I knew who Marilyn was, even if she wasn't that popular in my age group or something, but I really liked her. And I always felt kind of like I could see like the soul underneath or something, like I could see her struggle. And so I don't know, I just liked her. I even dressed up as her ghost one Halloween when I think it was 18. And then when I was 19, I had this friend, and the one who had seen Bigfoot when she was driving through the Appalachian by herself at night. She had read some book, I don't know, some book about Marilyn, like a biography or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's a billion books about her at this point. But when she had read it, she said, there's something about you that is like her. There's some kind of vulnerability or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but there was something about you. So it always stuck with me. So anyways, then, I'll be drawn to see stuff like, it's curious, like who somebody is when somebody tells you, like, they pick up on something, and after, you know, you see what her life was like, then it's like, well, yeah, it was the damaged part of somebody who's just trying to make it in the world, is what is standing out, I think. And so in this movie, at first it has, you know, so much violence and sex, really a painful rape scene that is hard to, even if it's a short, it's disturbing. And there is just I don't know, there's just like an exploitive factor, and it's rated NC-17, so it's pretty hardcore sex stuff, and then it's got like hardcore violence stuff. But then on top of that, it has this whoever did it did it in like this artistic kind of way to make these certain points. It has really super cool on certain things. Like, I mean, she is so damaged. It is so sad when you see what, like, I didn't know how bad her abuse was. I didn't even remember her mom was mentally ill and that she didn't have a dad and stuff. I knew she had some bad background, but I couldn't remember. And then that her mom was so, I think I remembered her mom was mentally ill, but not to the degree, like her mom tried to kill her and stuff. Her mom was really crazy. She was just off. And it was sad because she was always trying to be into that Hollywood thing, the scene or whatever. And then apparently she got pregnant by some actor or something. And then he discarded her. He didn't want, you know, anything to do with her or her baby. And so she became distraught and held it against the kid. And then she told the kid all the time. And so this girl who was rejected by her dad, rejected by her mom hated her. And then she goes out into the world. She was dumped off at an orphanage at a young age because nobody would take care of her. And then she went to whatever, you know, because she was pretty, she started being exploited and started just using her. And it was just, it's so disgusting. And then because of her looks and her willingness to not stand up for herself, she didn't know how to stand up for herself at all. That was probably one of the things that the girl who said that she could see something similar is probably something like that, because I was very incapable of standing up for myself as well when I was younger. And it was, I've said all along, I kind of like that was my draw towards men, was that masculine, somebody protect me, someone take care of me. And that is what she was going through. And she was just being used. And he did some really cool shots with showing like all of these men, just like, it was like they wanted to just consume her, just coming out of cameras, always flashing in her face. It was very intrusive, all of this stuff. And the way that the men all were just, it was like an ocean of men. He panned out, it was just an ocean of men all wanting to, you know, have a piece of her, you know, to exploit her in some way. And then as soon as, you know, she started complaining or something, then the studio just got her strung out on drugs. And then you think about during the different times, like how many young actors and actresses have we seen who their whole thing becomes about their addiction and their pain and suffering. And the studio feeds off of that because they own the media, and the media feeds off of that. And so they make money off of other people's pain nonstop. They don't care either way. Once you go into the machine, they just start using you and using you up. And, you know, for some people who have a certain something special, then, and you go into that Hollywood scene and immediately they take it and they just want to use it and use it up. Like you are merchandise to them. And they merchandise you. At one scene, somebody said to her, "You're just meat." I think it was her husband, because that was another thing too that they really showed really good, is this expectation. Like what is the baseball player? Was his name Don Dinsmore or something? I don't remember his name, but he was a baseball player, and they loved it. She loved anyone who was nice to her. I completely relate to that. And the sad thing is when you have this ability to see into people's souls rather than see the other thing, it can get you into trouble, because you think that people are better than what they are, because they don't know how good they are. They're just trying to make it in the world, and a lot of people do bad stuff to try and make it in the world. So anyways, you can end up in relationships with people who are not good for you many times. And so she got to, and he was very violent. He really wanted to control her. He wanted that, that perfect, he wanted his idea of what the package should be, and that's the problem. What we continue to face in our society is this unattainable expectation of somebody else, because they fit the package, but then you are not happy with what's inside, because you're always looking on the outside. You're not looking on the inside, where we got to get out of this shallow way of being and move back into this deeper way of seeing. And this has to be where people have to see themselves so they can realize that they do some asshole shit. You got to stop doing your asshole shit, and you got to heal your stuff. Like, it's simple. Once you start getting into it, it's a really hard thing for people to see, and that our society had to crumble apart. Just watching her and just seeing how, like, they developed the whole thing with dumb blondes, and just the exploitation of just women in general. How many women were just like, oh, you're just a dumb blonde. Oh, you got nothing to say. You're just, okay, blondie. A lot. I was blonde. A lot of people, you're immediately discarded. Okay, blondie. Okay. The blonde's got something to say. It's like, okay, thanks. And then on top of that, it was making me think about, because, that in essentially exploited women, her exploiting herself. So her going out into the system and being used like that exploited more in women. Just like what I was talking about with Bo Derek, when she went and she became exploited. And she was, she was exploiting herself. I don't know what all her traumas were as a child, or if she just really, was into, it seems like she had stuff. Can't remember, but, John Derek was like 50 years older than her or something. Like, she was constantly having these old men after her too. Like, I relate, man. And there's this one scene when she was, she constantly did it. She was constantly calling these guys daddy. Okay, daddy. Okay, daddy. It's like, oh, that's so cringe to me. Especially because when I was 19 and I went to London, I was working in a pub, and one of the owners of the pub, I think he was the owner. No, there was two owners. One of the owners was like 40 years older than me. Back in the 80s meeting, and then he wanted me to call him daddy. I was like, oh my God. No, thank you. I've got a weird dad. I'm not playing this role. I'm not playing this game, weirdo. Yeah, it's just, oh my God. I don't know. It disturbs me. Okay, daddy. So, but I was thinking, made me think again about how her going and exploiting herself, and then me just going out, just happening to look like the person while she was popular. And then all of these men, the same kind of men who are sitting there, oh, just can't get the real one. Let's take this one. Let's get the lookalike. That is that same energy, the same kind of men energy of like, take. It's all been a part of like this consuming, like of people, how they just consume one another. Like this whole thing about cannibalism, all this stuff that keeps coming up, it's coming to the surface all together for a reason. And there's so much with this, I can't even believe how many they're putting out about that, the cannibals and stuff like that. Like so many movies about that. so many shows about that. Like, it is, and you can see, like, at some point, the parents become just, blank to it. And then the next kid, then they have, it's 4 generations, they say in their own documents, 4 generations to get their goal. But that shows how we have to play along, how we have to be complicit in their game. And then, us waking up to their game changes their game. We pull out of their game. Like, no, I don't want to be a part of your game. Like, I mean, I think that there is really going to be some shocking, people are going to be shocked when these whole entire cities are going down and there is no money to rebuild them. Like, people's houses are just lost. Like, even you go to New Orleans, I mean, Katrina showed us right there. They don't go in and fix this stuff. It is just a way to take from us, to keep us down. That is their entire goal in this game, is to just keep, it's kind of like, you keep pulling that card, go back to go, it's the same thing in their game. And that's what they want to do, get you going back. So you have to go back through it, because the whole way through, they're making money off of you. And then the more sad and depleted you feel, the more they've got the magic pill to cure it, which cures nothing. All it does is just put a Band-Aid on it. I think some of the things just make you kind of feel speedy. So you're just speeding around like, I've got no problems. I'm good. And then you don't even realize, like, your body's falling apart. They're intoxicating you with all sorts of chemicals. They're turning off parts of your body so your body doesn't work on its own. And which I just sent this video. I'm always sending these natural things to my mom and stuff. And I know she really wants to do it. And she's got high blood pressure. And there's so much talk with the blood thinning and stuff like that. And so there's a thing about cayenne pepper. If you do cayenne pepper every day, you do like a spoon, I think a half a teaspoon or something. You can look it up, and then some honey. And the cayenne pepper is very healing to your blood. It thins your blood naturally, so you don't need any blood thinners and stuff. So all of the different people, who have had these should all be, drinking some cayenne every day, because whatever they put in that has done something to create coagulation and thickening or something. Whatever they're doing, and you can walk around with thick blood like that and feel like you're like, tired and worn out and just, I'm on the verge of being sick all the time. And it's all, because they're purposely making you sick. And people, and then, the whole fucking thing. Don't pay attention to your body unless if you start sneezing or coughing, run down and do a test. We'll tell you if you're sick or not. It's like, the other day, my daughter said she was going to go do one. I'm like, don't do that. If you're sick. You don't need a thing to tell you if you're sick or not. And she goes, yeah, but the only way I can get out of work is if I do the test. And what I said the other day, people have got to realize that the mandators, the people who were creating this, you do as I say. The people at the top may have said it, but the people who were there running the shops, running the stores and stuff, they were the ones doing it, the ones who were people's bosses and stuff. Like, that's why my daughters had to do all of these. She said that that's the only way she can work. And she has a professional job. And everyone they know has had no problem. So why would they even think that there's an issue? Because when they're hiding the fact that there's so many issues with people, then the people who aren't having an issue don't think about it. And then they don't realize, well, you really do have some stuff going on in there that you need to be on top of. Like taking the cayenne pepper every day, and probably the dandelion tea every day, because that repairs your heart. But you got to get real dandelion. This is why the FDA wants to step in more. They want to get everything that is natural and good for us out of our diet. That's their plan. It's not going to happen. It's not going to go that way. It's definitely, we're going to go the other direction. Everything is breaking through, and it's going to, it's going to be dramatic when it goes. like I've said, it's going to be just like a tsunami. It's just going to be a mess when this goes down. And so, everybody needs to be prepared, but I definitely don't think it's going to be long term. It's not like we're going to have a year or two of this, we're going to survive the famine and stuff like that. No, it's all of this stuff is resurfacing so that we can see, so we can relate in our heads history and how it's repeating, and how many people judged the Holocaust and stuff. And it's like, it's happening right before your eyes. And I bet you were one of those people. Oh, that would never happen on my watch. Never. I'm like, oh, really? Because it's happening right before your eyes. So that is the thing, is why I say that there's a lot of stuff when people start facing themselves, it's going to be painful, because they're going to see their own hypocrisy, their own weakness, their own lack of character. They're going to see it for themselves. And that is a hard thing to face. And, in your soul, it wants to face it, but your avatar is all full of ego and is ashamed of not being perfect. So this is going to be a traumatic thing for people to have to face themselves, so that they can see, and you can see how it's been building, the bullying and the hypocrisy, all of it. And that is all stuff that is hidden inside of people that they don't realize. And they're sitting there doing it. And like those of us who are awake, it's like, damn, you can't even see what you're doing, can you? And that's why I said, like, when you start being able to see through people, and that is like where I believe that we're going to all get to the point. That's why you won't be able to fuck around and be phony, because everybody's going to be able to see your true self. But you have to heal your true self to even want it to be exposed. And a lot of people are not going to be able to get through the healing. That's why you got to take so much pressure off of yourself and so much judgment off of yourself. And that is what allows you to appreciate others and stop judging everyone else. Because you'll catch yourself, even if you start to judge something or someone, you talk yourself through it. Like, yeah, you don't fucking know. None of us know anything about anybody else's choices. And everybody is here to learn. And none of us know better than anybody else, especially in somebody else's life. But in this Maryland show, it really was just really bringing it, like there's no accidents for this to be coming out and for it to be showing so much of this exploitation. And right after I just said how there's some of these people that are so anti-celebrity, every single one of them, they're all rotten, they're not even the same, they're not even the right sex. I saw a picture yesterday, and it was supposed to be Harry and Meghan Markle, I think her name is, walking, and it was the same kind of shot as we've got tons of shots with Michael and his flopping around penis out in his pants. But hers, I don't know. At this point, I swear to God, like, you don't know if people are just doing pictures because they just, I don't know. There's so much stuff, but some of the stuff, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. What matters is doing your healing and just really learning from this experience and being aware of everything around you. And, in this, where it's showing how the system just used her so badly, like anyone would just exploit her. Even women, when she was talking one time to these ladies, and whatever it was she was saying or complaining or something, and they're like, oh, you got nothing to complain about. We all want to be you. And it's like the creation of idols. People form this idea of who they think somebody else is, and it's all coming to the surface. Everything. It's micro, macro. It's coming to the surface in relationships, in our society, in every aspect of our lives of what we have accepted. And for so long, there was so many kids that were strung out on drugs and stuff in movies, and just their whole lives falling apart. And it even became kind of a joke, like, oh yeah, well, Hollywood can't stay married more than a year. And, people just kind of wanted to just make fun of them. And the people who were in the system, trapped into it, they were being exploited. They were people who needed to have healing. Like, it's like the blind leading the blind, and the blind is directing society, directing the boat. And then the evil bastard back in the back who wants to watch it crash to see what happens. So, it is, that is why we had to wake up. Like, geez, how far could it go? And I mean, just thinking about recently, I had seen some about Brendan Fraser, and I remember he was a really good looking guy back, back in the day. I think his was in the 80s, and he was a real good looking guy, and I think he was real big, muscly. He played like Tarzan or something. He always played kind of a lunkhead, kind of a doofus, because they've always got typecast people and create this person. Even in the Marilyn one, she shows that Marilyn became a persona, that she wasn't even her. And when she was having a particularly hard time, she would go into Marilyn. It's like they're creating this bipolar, detachment of yourself, and then go in and play role after role after role. So it really, fucks with your head if you don't even know for sure who you are. And so the Brendan Fraser one, he was a big guy and stuff, and he went super downhill. I think he got strung out on drugs and stuff. He stopped taking care of himself. I think he became pretty obese for a while, and he said that he was raped. Like, you think about some big guy like that, like, are they using weapons? Are they using intimidation, manipulation? And those are the things that are the most painful, is when you see, like, what in me, like, how was I manipulated by that? And that is, like, the reason that he would be gaining weight and doing this, because it's punishing himself for what he went through, instead of just healing from the experience and then, picking up and moving on and seeing what you can do with the pieces. So, when you get into that, like, it's going into your pain and not healing it. And so I think he is, just him speaking out about it, I think has helped him, because I think he has started getting more parts again and stuff. I think he's kind of coming back a little bit to get more in parts or something. But also, they control your whole livelihood, because they can pull you from a movie. They can create chaos around your persona. They can wreck your it's like they can make or break you at any time. And that is micro macro. They can make or break you in the limelight or in your mental state. Like, they have that ability. They're hanging everything over these people. And some people, went into it immediately, were like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that for money. Sorry. And could see. And some people, would do anything for money and couldn't break through. And so it's been a real variety. Like, and the people who did break through, it was because that was their destiny. They were there to experience what they learned from that experience. And that is the whole point. Like, you can be out there, everybody can be out there knocking on the door, but only certain people get to go in. And it's the people who had the contracts to go in and go through the experience. And, it would be cool if everybody started getting into really trying to understand their destiny and their purpose, rather than just, attainable goals. Like, what is something that everybody wants? What does everybody think is success? If I go do this, then everybody's going to think I'm successful, and then I will feel good. And then people go and they do it, and then they don't feel good. And then they feel like, why isn't this making me feel good? Why am I still empty? And, and then it shows on her, they just come in and shoot her up with drugs if she ever felt anything. And just quiet her down. Got to get her on the set. Get her on the set, It's just, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's shameful, that people are so judgy, even right now, when they're feeling like tricked by this whole thing. And it's very irritating, because right now it's not everybody's broke free from the idolization. And some people are very, I don't know. I think there's some new breakup or something. And everybody's like, oh my God, and Kim and oh my gosh, just stuff like that where it's like, you got to get more into you and less into them, because the more you get into you, the more you will find your own successes. You know what I was thinking yesterday too? I was driving, was I got into my head this little, it was like a pun, like, try this on for size. Start eating what's good for you, not what tastes good. Do these little commercials. They're like these little things like, think about this, think about this. But really, that is all it is. Just start stoking the fire. People's brains and stuff just need to get stoked. And their souls just need to, they need to just form this connection so that they can start hearing their own soul. None of us need to convince anybody that we've got all the answers. Nobody's got all the answers. We're all independent. We're all sovereign. We all are from different states of consciousness. We can go where we want to go. We don't have to have limitations. Just like, I said, like if the Christians right now are creating a rapture so they can all go to the heavens together, like they can contract in and do all that together. Like souls can do whatever the fuck they want. And we are creating our world. So, whatever they're here to do, they're here to do. And their souls are a part of it. But our souls can do all sorts of stuff. There is no limitations. And there's so much what all they want to do is create limitations in this world and keep people small and keep them, simple-minded and focused on things that don't matter. So anyways, there was some more stuff. I know I want to, there was like, every time I would think of something, I would go like super deep into each thing. Like, oh my gosh, like I could talk an hour about that. I could talk an hour about that. And then I'm always just like going through, but whatever, they tell me whatever they want me to say. So if there's more, they'll tell me more. And then, anyways, I'm going to go to the shower. Now I'm not even, whatever. I'm going to be me. I'm just going to be me. And if that's how I will be left in your memory. And if your perception is to only see something that you hate, that's up to you. That's your lessons. That is what you're here to learn about yourself. That you are choosing how you look at things and how you see things. And everybody does it. But everybody has to realize that they're doing it, because that's the only way you get real change. And everybody wants change. Everybody wants to feel better. Everybody wants to do better. And so this is our opportunity. That's why everything is happening. So take your opportunity. So anyways, I'll be leaving in a couple hours, and I will, as long as there's power tomorrow, or maybe I'll have such an exciting trip, I'll do a little video when I get home. I don't know. We'll see. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.